Well, it wasn't always this way. Political parties in Congress did not spend their every waking moment in lockstep with the president of their own political party. There has always been significant dissent in Congress within the party of the current president, until now. And last night, we heard how Republicans speak privately about what they need to do to protect their president. The Rachel Maddow Show obtained secret audio recordings of Congressman Devin Nunes at a Republican fundraiser for Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, and they both made it very clear that they do not care what high crimes and misdemeanors Robert Mueller might discover the president committed, if any. They are going to protect the president no matter what. They believe that is their only job in dealing with the investigation of this president. First of all, try to stop the investigation. Secondly, if they cannot stop the investigation, make sure nothing happens to the president as a result of that investigation. And in order to do that, they need to win the congressional elections in November and preserve their majority. And here is the way Devin Nunes said that on that secretly recorded audio.
So therein lies, so it's like your classic catch-22 situation. Where, I mean, we're at this what puts us in such a tough spot. If Sessions won't unrecuse and Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only one. Which is really the danger. That's why I keep, and thank you for saying it, by the way. I mean, we have to keep all these secrets. We have to keep the majority. If we do not keep the majority, all of this goes away.
We're the only ones. The only ones who can save the president. The reason a special prosecutor was appointed to investigate President Bill Clinton was not that Republicans demanded it or that some newspaper editorials and some columnists demanded it. Bill Clinton and his Attorney General Janet Reno would have resisted those demands from Republicans. A special prosecutor was appointed because Democrats demanded it. Enough Democrats in the House and the Senate, including liberal Democrats and moderate Democrats, agreed that there should be a special prosecutor to investigate Bill and Hillary Clinton's financial dealings while he was governor of Arkansas. And eventually, Bill Clinton agreed. And President Clinton asked his Attorney General, Janet Reno, to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate him. That is how we got the last special prosecutor to investigate a Democratic president. When Richard Nixon was being investigated by a special prosecutor and by Congress, it was a bipartisan investigation in Congress. And although most Republicans tried to look at the mounting evidence against President Nixon as favorably as possible to President Nixon, none of them ever tried to say anything like this.
Just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
Republicans did not try to deny reality during the investigation of Richard Nixon. And eventually it was a group of Republican senators who went to the White House to tell President Nixon to his face that he should resign immediately because the House of Representatives would definitely vote to impeach him based on the latest evidence, and the United States Senate would easily reach a two-thirds majority vote to convict and remove President Nixon from office in an impeachment trial. And so on this very day, 44 years ago, President Nixon climbed into the helicopter on the White House lawn and waved goodbye to the White House staff for the final time. Richard Nixon was able to win the presidency in 1968 because the Democratic Party broke into open revolt in the United States Senate and the House of Representatives against their Democratic president, Lyndon Johnson, who was so shocked and politically crippled when his reelection was challenged in Democratic primaries, first by Senator Eugene McCarthy and then by Senator Robert Kennedy, that Lyndon Johnson surrendered to the insurrection in his party and announced he would not run for re-election. Democrat Lyndon Johnson gave up his own campaign for re-election to the presidency because of dissent within his own party over the Vietnam War. And so, no, it wasn't always this way. There was no democratically controlled Congress or Republican controlled Congress in which there was absolutely no dissent, no resistance to the president of the same party who controlled that Congress. Not until now. What we are seeing with Devin Nunes and Catherine McMorris Rodgers and every Republican in the House and the Senate who is running for re-election is a total and complete violation of their oaths of office to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Instead, they behave and they speak as if they have taken an oath to defend Donald Trump, even if he is proven to be an enemy of the Constitution. We're the only ones. That's what you heard Devin Nunes say. If Sessions won't unrecuse and Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only ones. So what they're saying there is if the Attorney General of the United States abides by his oath to defend the Constitution, and if the Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller abides by his oath to defend the Constitution, then it will be up to them, the Republican members of Congress, to defend Donald Trump against the defenders of the Constitution. 44 years ago today, Richard Nixon left the White House for the last time because there was no Devin Nunes in the House of Representatives telling all the other Republicans we're the only ones who can save their president. It wasn't always this way. If the Republicans who served in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate when Richard Nixon was president were still serving today, we would not have to fear that we are living with a Congress that refuses to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.